Okay. So you see this right here is the live Pope, whoever the number, unveil AI focused encyclical. What is that? AI. They're just worshiping the Queen Mother. That's all they're doing there. They know what they're doing. There she goes right there. The Satanic Mother. Ugh, these people. Okay, anyways. That's funny. Um, let's look up what is this? What's going on here? Okay. Let's look at my notes. What do I have here? So let's start off with Project Rainbow. Okay, so essentially Project Rainbow. What is Project Rainbow? Project Rainbow is like the upper umbrella, and under Project Rainbow was an experiment called the Philadelphia Experiment. And um okay, so Phil, let's put the Philadelphia. Is there something shorter? So essentially, the Philadelphia experiment, what it was it was an experiment where they were trying to basically come up with the power of invisibility, and so they were getting. Again, I was just looking at my notes here. It was in October 28th, 1943. My notes. I guess yeah. Oh, there you go. Wait, what else? Anyways, October 28th, 1943, the USS Elridge, that was the name of the boat. They were able to make it invisible, but not only that, they made it invisible and then teleported it from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to some city in Virginia and then back again to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And what happened was, even though they were successful in making it invisible and teleporting to these weird places and back and forth and whatnot, um, if any human beings that were, I guess, walking through rooms or something at the time of this certain, when the, I guess, the invisible boat teleported back to a land or something, I don't know. Um, th- there were humans that basically were stuck in the walls, I guess, in transition. And it's not funny, but they had images. So they got stuck in the walls. And if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray you understand what I'm saying here. It's deep. Right there. This is a picture. I don't know how, but these people were in this boat, supposedly. And in the transitioning of the teleportation, they were either walking through a room or something and they got trapped in the walls. I guess a lot, so they lost a lot of people because the experiment was a success, but at the same time, I guess it wasn't. People got stuck in the walls. Let's see that this talks about. Oh, yes, the Germans and the Americans were working very close together. The Nazis, Hitler project, it'll come later. Under the Rainbow Project or Project Rainbow. Hmm. So they rolled it up in copper wire. Wow. I didn't know that. Sounds like witchcraft. Confusion, fear. The shipyard. Mm-mm. Oh, they were still alive. It's weird. In Nevada. They lost it. They lost track of it. Okay, so that's under the Project Rainbow. Um, let's see. And then we have that was the Philadelphia experiment under the Project Rainbow. What else did I write down? That's what I wrote down. Okay, okay, but there was a man named Duncan Cameron who was on that boat. There was two men actually who say they were on that boat and that they ended up 40 years in the future, which would be 1986. But they were on that boat in 1943 or 46, whatever year it was. But they were catapulted out. Yeah, still alive. Um, um, he did. Um, okay. A 16-year-old filmmaker, 16 years old. So it's like he's jumping through time, space. What?
It's taken so much for granted. You don't appreciate the small things.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. I was gonna wear a white bandana right now, and I took it off. 16. Don't look like no jail. Looks like a regular tall building. Mhm. A rainbow. Oh. Mm. 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 In the project. Mm. Mm. I know what that number means. Six for chords. The wild cucumber. Mm. Oh. Hmm. Mm. 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 Isn't it called a Kabbalah? Kabbalah? That one's called a Kabbalah. Um, it's like to hold water. I don't know what it's called. It has a name in Africa. What's it called? Uh, they have a name. Kabbalah. Ifa? Damn, it's cold. It like holds water or something. Whatever. It's something like that though. A wild cucumber. Memoir. Something like memory. A vine. Hmm. Anyway, it's not that. Spell number wins. Um, but yeah, anyways, Montauk chair. And where is this video I was watching? Okay, there she goes.
Not always people. Sometimes he's
Hmm.
reality or in a bottle. They had to be
That bottle right there. That's a video we just watched. Bottle. Yeah. In the bottle. Hmm. Cute. Rambo. Let me see. Come here. Up, up. Go up, up. Did you just throw up? All right. You okay? Rambo. Okay. Drink some water. Drink some. Drink some water. Oh my god. Come here. Come here, Bubba. Drink water. The blood of Jesus. Yeshua HaMashiach cover you from the crown of your head, your sole of your paw. Rambo. The boy. Good boy. Go up, up. Come on. Come on. Drink water. Thank you. Drink water. Drink water. Drink water. Is there water in it? Yeah. Drink some water. Okay. Breathe. Breathe. Hmm. Go up, up. Go up, up. Go. Good boy. Underground. Okay, so what happened? This man named Duncan Cameron, who was in the boat that went invisible, transported, came back, transported, and we've seen it. It's been spotted out throughout time. Um, Duncan, this man named Duncan Cameron, and this other guy, I forgot who, they were on that boat. But what happened was they got like pushed 40 years forward into the 80s, I guess, according to them. Fast forward that, they claimed that all they needed was a lock of somebody's hair to access their minds. And they could jump into somebody's brain and they could see, hear, smell what that person could see, hear, and smell, whoever brain they were in, using that lock of hair, right? And this is what they call the all seeing eye, which sounds a lot like witchcraft because afterwards they were, of course, going to take it further and they wanted to see if they could control thoughts, if they could mind control whatever brain that they were jumping into. And essentially, this is what body jumping is. And it's also very satanic. This is how satanic um, agents of Satan exchange powers, right? And so, if you're seeing the pattern here, right here, if you're understanding what the pattern here is this Project Montauk, Project Rainbow, Project Phoenix at Camp Hero, right? It's called. This is going to take us to Project Montauk and Camp Hero after this. The Hitler Project is another one, which it was actually going. Hitler thing was going on in the 40s, right? So some kids will say that they're part of the Hitler Project, and they'll actually say that they were part of the Hitler Project in 1944, which a normal person will be like, how were you going through the Hitler concentration camp in 1944 where you weren't even born then, right? But there's also other things, aspects of time travel in the good old Bible, in the Word, right? If we go to Genesis, um, let's see, it should be either Genesis 1 or 2. Should be that fast forward into anything. After Adam and Eve fell, okay, so at the end of chapter 5, it'll say like, um, Noah was 500 years old. Enoch walked with God. He was not, God took him, but all the days of Enoch were 365. His son was Methuselah. Methuselah lived 969 years old and then he died. Lamech lived 802 years old and then had a son who was Noah. And Noah lived, right? So it's like one of Methuselah lived 969 years old. Lamech, which was Noah's dad, lived 182 years old. No, he lived 777 years old. And I'm thinking, well, that person must have looked crazy old at 777 years old, right? Like they must have looked busted and disgusted, right? Excuse me, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying, unless like, I mean, God accommodated it. I guess I don't. But it wasn't that they lived multiple timelines. These people lived multiple timelines, which is why some of them lived 777 years, some of them lived 969 years, some only lived 500 years, some 100 and something years old. They were like 190 years old till they had a son. That's a long time. It was because they lived multiple timelines. So I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's why. I don't want to go too deep into that because the dude who lived 969 years old, he probably jumped timelines and then went back in time and had to go through judgment and all this stuff, right? It's deep. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, right? As versus the one who lived 500 years old like Noah, right? Because it's like, it's all geometry and quantum physics. And in quantum physics, things are like multiplied or cubed, right? Squared. Uh, when you step into the quantum physics realm, things are usually like cubed and squared. Same thing with time. So I'm guessing if he lived 969 years old, he probably lived like three timelines, 300 years each at the same time, kind of thing. But ended up having to go back in time and only live one and make things right and change things and go through judgment. He probably exploded and had to go through surgery. It's deep. I'm trying to confuse you. But when you come back from that, your body's not. Your body's gonna explode. Your head's gonna explode. It's gonna detach from your body. You're gonna need surgery. All that information and knowing of the wisdom of the heavens and stuff and living all those timelines is just gonna make your head explode, literally. Also, in Genesis, it says some of the angels left their abodes. This is them. They left their timeline. Therefore, somebody who jumped timelines and lived, decided to go and live in another timeline or was living in another timeline simultaneously as this one, at this two lives at the same time kind of stuff, would eventually live multiple timelines, right? And have left their rightful timeline or the timeline that God had one was God's timeline because the enemy builds has people building timelines too. And so that's what a super soldier is. A super soldier essentially, when we get to Project Montauk, will tell you that a super soldier basically they go into other timelines or are created to go into other timelines, collapse timelines real quick, and get out, right? Because we can't have multiple timelines going on. They had to collapse timelines, or the government was trying to pick what timeline was best for them by watching all these timelines run simultaneously, which is kind of like cheating in a sense, right? But they wanted to see what the best outcome was, and that's the timeline they wanted to pick. They didn't care. And so that's what super soldiers are. Now, these super soldiers also have made a pact with Satan very early on in their lives. They've had to do satanic rituals and a lot of these things, and a lot of them are sold out by their families for money. Their families know, and they know to this day. Um, let's see if this is going to tell us a little more. Bold claims that have been made by people like Preston. But this is a real place. So that's what I'm saying. All these places are real places. They're all shut down. There's a bunch of these places all over the world. They're shut down military places, camps, etc. But they're heavily guarded. But they're shut down. But really, what we're worried about is what's underneath underground tunnels and facilities where they're doing all this stuff, right? The Sage Radar Tower was expanded to include as many as 12. Gang stalking. Mm, mm. I don't want to make this too long.